Hi folks, it's Dermot here from the School of Culinary Arts and Food Technology at TUDublin again. Today we're making fresh pasta. So let's get started with the ingredients, guys. We need strong flour. That's the one full of gluten, so it's going to be really elastic when we work it out. We need 110 mils of water mixed with 1 tablespoon of oil, and I've already put the flour in here, which is 250 grams. We're going to use 2 egg yolks and a bit of turmeric for a bit of colour and some salt for a bit of flavour. Now moving along to the equipment. What equipment do you need? We can do this on the table, but the reality is, guys, it's much easier and much faster to do it in a food processor. So all we're going to do is throw everything into the food processor. We're going to need a pasta machine, and you don't need a dryer, but somewhere to hang it. You can even use a broom handle, brush handle, whatever you have in the kitchen. Very simple, guys. Pop all the ingredients all together into the food processor and turn it on until it comes together like a ball and rolls around the inside of the bowl without sticking to it. Okay, so let's have a look. So here we have it. This is our dough, which is slightly tacky, but not sticky enough that it continues to stick to the inside of the bowl. So that's exactly the way we want it. So we're going to take it out very carefully with the blade, pop it out on the table. I'm going to work that on the table now for about 3 minutes. So let's have a look. This is the bowl of dough. It's not at all smooth, but it is together, and that's exactly the way we want it. So what you do is you push it off the table and just have a look and see if it sticks. So you see it's sticking very slightly. So if it very slightly sticks, just a little light dust of flour and no more. And it's very important that that's the extent of the flour that we put on it, because the more flour you introduce to it, the tougher it gets. Okay, so we want this effectively, like we did in the class for the bun dough, to be like Hubba Bubba chewing gum. So we wanted to get it all together so it's nice and smooth and elastic, and you can see at the moment it all comes apart there. It's not all one. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the excess flour, and we're just literally going to stretch it with the palm of our hands and then roll it back up, turn it sideways and stretch it, and just continue to do that. Literally what we're doing here, or effectively, is pretending it's bubble gum, and we're just stretching it and stretching it and stretching it. Left hand, right hand, and you get that lovely soft texture. We're going to do this for about 3 minutes until it's one complete ball of elastic, silky dough. 5 minutes later, guys, you can see how it's just like a big, soft, silky ball of chewing gum. That's exactly how we want it. Now, the colour, I have this particularly yellow because pasta looks a little bit better if it's got more colour in it, and we've just introduced a bit of turmeric in there, so the turmeric wasn't for anything else but colour in there. So what we're going to do, we're going to take some cling film, I'm going to lift it onto there. We're just going to cover it so it doesn't get a skin, and because I've been working it for 5 minutes, we want it to relax. We want all that gluten to relax, so I'm going to pop that in the fridge, and we're going to take it out and we'll show you the stage where we're going to roll it. Okay, and so 20 minutes after, we take it out of the fridge, we put it down, and there it is, nice and relaxed. So now it's ready to stretch out or roll out, and we're going to use our rolling machine. But before you use the rolling machine, I need you to focus in on it here and understand how the machine works. So the machine itself is so wide, and when we put it through, we're going to put it through the machine probably about 10 times, because there's 2 little rollers in here, and there's a catch on a barrel here that has 5 different settings, and we open it to the widest setting to put it down through first, and as we roll it through we get smaller and smaller and smaller, so the pasta rolls thinner and thinner and thinner. Therefore, the pasta must only be less than half the width of the machine to start with. So we must keep that into consideration. So how we get around that is we make it into a rectangular shape. So just very gently nudge it. We need it to be able to go through the barrel, and the barrel is only about this thick at the moment, so we must just help it along, stretch it out, and then roll all the way down so it's got a nice narrow edge to it. Now I know that this pasta is still too wide to put through the machine, so what I'm very simply going to do is cut it down the middle, like so. Here's one piece, here's the other. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to make one end really flat so that it goes down through the pasta machine. So let's take it over to the pasta machine. So we're just going to roll it through. And there we go, nice and smooth. And if you feel it's any way sticky at all, you can just help it along in the flour that we have here. And put it back through again, except on this occasion I'm only going to put it halfway through, and I'm going to show you why now. By putting it halfway through, I can join the two ends, give it about 4 inches on either side, and seal both the top and the bottom together good and tight, like so. And just keep rolling until you have the desired thickness. So if it's lasagna or tagliatelle or spaghetti, you can bring it right down to the second last notch, which we have here. And you'll see it just gets longer and longer and longer, which is exactly what it's supposed to do. And then all we're going to do is we're going to cut it here and stretch it the full length of the table, and you can see just how much pasta you get out of one little piece. Now I've got some semolina here, and I'm going to rub some semolina along the outside. If you don't have semolina, you can use a little bit of flour, but not too much. Remember, we don't want the flour to make it hard, just so it doesn't stick on all sides. I'm going to put a little bit underneath this end as well, because we don't want it to stick to the table either. And there we have it. And that is fresh pasta. And all we have to do is decide what is it we want to make with this. So effectively we have lasagna sheets now. So if I cut this into a sheet itself and lift it up, I'm going to hang it on my little pasta dryer here, but you can hang it over a brush handle or a wooden spoon, anything like that at all. Or if you have an attachment for your machine that cuts tagliatelle or spaghetti, by all means use that. But above all, what you must always remember with pasta is it must dry before you cut it into the final shape that you like. At the moment it's too sticky, it is like chewing gum. So we've got to let it dry for about 20 minutes, and then it becomes hard enough that you can actually roll it naturally and cut it with a knife or cut it with the machine to use a different shape. Now for this part, you may have bought your pasta machine in somewhere like Lidl. They're very cheap, at 30 euros. And you'll have seen this attachment here, which slides onto the back of the actual pasta machine, like so. And then you use your handle again, but this time inside whichever roller you feel you'd like to choose. So there's two rollers here. There's one for tagliatelle and one for spaghetti. So only thing to remember at this stage is if the machine has never been used, you might throw a bit of flour in there and roll it through, just in case it becomes a little bit sticky. There's the first one. And there's the second one. Today I'm choosing tagliatelle. So what we're going to do, we're going to place the rolling wheel handle, and we're going to get our dried pasta or semi-dry pasta should I say, and we're going to let it fall like so and catch it. You should have that beautiful tagliatelle strands. And if any of them happen to be slightly stuck, just separate them. And what we do here is I drag them through the semolina, and that will prevent them from sticking, and then roll them round in a little ball like so. You probably noticed that. You've probably got something like that in the shop in packets called fresh pasta. And the other machine, the other roller, will actually give you spaghetti. So again, start it off, roll it very fast all the way through, and there we have spaghetti. And again, the first thing you do, drag it through your semolina, separate, and roll into a circle. And there you have it. Okay, and when we have as much as you need, we're going to put this into a pot of boiling water, and we are going to blanch it for 1 minute. By blanching I mean you're just going to boil it for 1 single minute so that it will never crack and that it will still be good enough that you can continue to cook it at a later stage. I'm going to pop it in the water. So I've just got boiling water and a little bit of oil to make sure it doesn't stick. So here we have the remainder of the pasta cut slightly thicker. Remember, this pasta cooks totally in approximately 2.5 minutes. So we only want to give it 1 minute. Put it under the coal tap. And I like to just put the container on top of it rather and run the cold water in on top of it. That's going to cool it down. And as soon as it's cooled down, it's ready to go. So we can use that later. Meanwhile, we're going to make some sauce Arrabiata. And basically that's a tomato and chili sauce, a really simple one that goes really well with pasta. So what are we going to use? Here's the ingredients here. Now, it's tomato sauce, so we're going to use tinned tomatoes, which are quite sour, so we're going to use a little bit of sugar just to mellow that down. And the other flavours, we're going to use some chopped garlic, chopped onion, and I like to use fresh rosemary in there, and obviously chili. Now, I've got chili flakes rather than whole chilies. That's no problem, we can put them all in together. So how do we start? I always use the Tesco's garlic because it's already chopped, it's pre-chopped and frozen. It's so handy, especially when you're working. Step one with the sauce, a little bit of oil in the pan. We're going to put our onions in there, we're going to put our garlic in there, we're going to put our rosemary in there. And I like to put the chilies in there as well. As little or as many as you like. We're literally going to let them roll around in the pan, and on a really, really gentle heat we're going to cover them with the lid and let all those flavours infuse onto the pan before we add the tomatoes. And there we have it. So it's just gently, very, very gently cooking so it sweats and all the flavour comes out and merges together. We're going to put in a little drop of vinegar. Doesn't matter which vinegar you use, but just a tiny drop, just to give it a bit of a tang. We're going to put in our chopped tomatoes. I'm going to put in a nice teaspoon of sugar, and I've got a pinch of pepper here as well. I'm going to stick that back in the pan with the lid until it all just merges together again and mellows together, and we'll come back in about half an hour. So really, really gentle heat. So very gentle simmer. And if needs be, add a little bit of water and leave that to cook for approximately 25 minutes to half an hour. And here you see our Arrabiata sauce, which is reducing beautifully. And you can notice all the water that was put onto it, and all the juices have just evaporated down and they've come into a highly concentrated, beautiful, chunky sauce. And we're just going to leave it like that for the pasta. So now all we do is we add the fresh pasta, which has been drained, into our sauce. And it's always best if we just coat the pasta very lightly in it. I find this works much better, much tastier than a pureed type of tomato sauce. So there we have, look at that. Lovely, beautiful chunks of tomato. Straight into your bowl. And there we go. Beautiful chunks of spiced tomato there. A little wipe of the bowl. We're just going to finish it off under the salamander or under the grill with some freshly chopped mozzarella. There we have it. Straight under the grill for approximately 40 seconds until the mozzarella melts. There we have it, folks. Fresh pasta arrabbiata. Absolutely stunning.